I thought this would be an interesting way to start out this video. This is a truck full of camels heading. It's hard to say if it's going to a farm. Here in Saudi, they do eat camel, so it could be going someplace to turn these into food, but at the same time, they could be heading just about anywhere, maybe even to just a farm somewhere. All right, welcome back and hello from Saudi. And today we're going to talk about a question that came up from a viewer, and that was about the interview process. And when you think about getting interviewed by a company, maybe you're at a time in your career where you haven't been through a lot of interviews, and you've heard things and you've read some things about the way interviews go. When it comes to contracting and doing overseas contracts, especially in the IT fields, I'm going to give you exactly the way it went down for me so that you have a real life example to go off of, and then it won't be any type of hearsay. It's going to be exactly what type of interview you're probably going to expect, all right? And we'll be right back with that, all right? After years of military contracting overseas, and I'm getting ready to retire, I thought I would pass on the information that I learned over years of working abroad to inspire others to reach out, check out the world, see the jobs that are overseas, and learn something about yourself. So let's talk about the interview process. The first thing you need to understand is that after you put your resume together, and I have videos that step-by-step show how to get started, what they're looking for, what certs to have. You can watch those videos to get to that resume point and send that resume in. Go on the company websites, apply for the jobs, all right? At that point, you will most likely get an email. The email is going to say, are you available for an interview? And you will be given maybe 8 different time zones or times that you can choose, okay? And that is for people that are around the world. That's for people that have busy schedules, and you just pick one. You email them back, and then that's your slot. That interview is going to go down via the telephone. What I want you to do for that first interview, all right, that's going to be the quals interview. So you're going to have 2. The first interview is going to be your quals interview. The second interview that you'll have down the line is going to be your tech interview. All right, and that's the true for whatever job you're going into. Doesn't matter if you're going into being a diesel mechanic or if you're going into one of the IT fields overseas. You're going to have your quals interview, and then you're going to have your tech interview. One is going to be with the first one, the qual one, is going to be with a headhunter, basically. That's making sure that you're qualified for the job to move on and to be sent overseas for this job. The second interview, the tech interview, will be done by a representative in the company that you're going to be working with, usually like your supervisor overseas, okay? So let's talk about the first interview, the qual interview that you're going to have. First thing I want you to know is I don't want you to go into this cold, all right? I want you to be ready for that interview. You should have a yellow pad. You should have a pen sitting next to the phone ready to go. You should know the names of who you're going to be speaking with, if that was sent to you, the time they're going to call. Set the alarm on your phone so you don't miss that call, all right, because they'll be probably calling you, or it might be that you call into a certain number, all right? There might even be 2 people on the line. It's hard to say. I also want you to have all of your certs, all your certifications, your DD 214. I want you to have your other documents from the civilian side, if you're coming from the civilian side, whatever experience you have. I want you to have all that ready to go. That way, if you get asked any dates and times, or when you graduated from a certain school, or when you completed a certification, what's the exact name of the certification? Maybe there's a number designation on the certification. You're not digging for it. It's there, and it's ready to go for that interview. At that point, when you call and you speak to them on the phone, get everybody's name and write it down, because later on in the interview, I don't want you to get their name wrong, or I don't want you to have to ask, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Okay, I want you to have their name there. So as you go through the interview process, you can say their first name. Remember, this is the headhunter, so he's also making sure that you got kind of a good personality so you can fit in to a group overseas, because it reflects on their company, if you get hired, what sort of a candidate you are, because that headhunter is filling those positions overseas. Okay, so that's more personable. Okay, you will go through the qualifications of the job. Do you have the background? Do you have certifications? Do you have training? Do you have experience? And don't forget, if you're going for a junior position, you might be okay without some of those. Okay, but basically that's what they're going through. Then the headhunter is going to ask you things like, are you capable of passing a drug test? They're going to just ask you, are you capable of passing a secret clearance? And I've done videos on these that you can watch to explain what goes through that process, because they want to move someone forward that's going to be able to pass those. Are you capable of passing the physical exam? And they'll give you some examples of the physical exam so that you can tell them, yes, that I'm capable of passing these. And I have a video on the physical exam as well, so you can see everything that's going to be involved with that. That's going to be your qual interview, to make sure you're a qualified candidate that can now move on through the process. If that interview goes well, you will receive another email that's going to say something along the lines of, we're going to start putting together an offer letter for you for the amount of money that you negotiated or discussed on the phone. Okay, you are going to start taking a physical examination there in that area or where you live. That'll be your first physical examination. Okay, and you'll go for a drug analysis. Okay, a drug test. Now, the drug test might come before the second interview because they just want to make sure it's done. They're not even going to move forward if you can't pass a drug test. And it's also very quick. But it's hard to say. But the second interview, the tech interview, will come usually before you go take all these physical examinations. Reason being, those are expensive. That company is going to be dropping a lot of money to send you to a workplace clinic that does workplace medicine to get these exams done. So usually they'll try to get that second interview done before that. All right. So you might go first interview, get called to go do a drug test. You pass the drug test, get set up for the second interview, the tech interview, and then you will move on to your at home going to a workplace doctor that does workplace medicine to do the physical examinations. Okay, now let's talk about a few things you might get asked at this first interview. Okay. All right, we are going to talk about a few things that you might get asked at this first interview that might throw you off. The questions that often throw off people: when it comes to your qualifications, you've got it all right there. When it comes to any certifications you passed, they're right in front of you. If you have some background experience, you do. But a question like, why should we hire you? You see? That will often throw people off. A question like, what do you bring to the team? All right? Now, it's not so much about what quals you have. This is where I tell people, be humble, but be confident. So you want to say, I can be a valuable member to your team because of the training that I'm bringing. This is what I'm bringing. My background, I've worked with teams before, I've worked in this equipment before, I work hard, I take instructions well, I take criticism well, I work with others well. These type of things. Okay, humble yourself and show that you are a team player, that you're confident about your skills as well. I adapt well, I adapt to change quickly, things along those lines. This is why they should hire you. All right. What do you bring to the team? Then that's where you talk about, I work well in a team. I've proven that already. I have a good background for this job, and this is why. And I will be able to help. If you have junior personnel there, I'll be able to help them as well. You see, now you're making yourself valuable, all right, to that team. So that's the way I want you to think with those questions. What are you adding to value to the company, not the other way around? All right. Another one that I got asked was, why are you applying for a job overseas? Why not take a job in the United States? Right? And for me, I simply told them that I find it fascinating to go work in another country. That was one. And two is because I was trying to get ahead financially as well. And I was having a tough time because you're putting out half of your income in the United States for taxes. So I realized half of my income was gone from the get-go. So I'm trying to get ahead financially. That's honest. They know that's the reason why you're going for this job. Okay? Be honest with them. All right? Let's talk about the second interview, the tech interview. In the world of IT, they call it, they're going to tech you out. They want to tech you out. Okay? And it's the same if you're going for a job in one of the trades, electrician, plumber, diesel, all of it. A supervisor from the location now, they've received your information. The company that you're applying for likes what they see. They've contacted the supervisor and say, hey, we have someone to fill a position. Great. They send the resume on, as well as what the headhunter has found out about you gets sent on. And then you will schedule an interview, usually with whoever your supervisor is going to be at that base. This is what they want to find out from you. Again, I want you to be ready with everything. Okay? Yellow pad with pen. Write down everybody's names that's on the phone so you have everyone's name. Okay? So you don't ask later on. So you're ready to go. And basically what they're going to do, they're going to start out with some casual conversation. The things they'll ask you is, have you worked overseas before? Tell me about the last job you were working, some of the work you did there. They know on the resume what your job was, but they're trying to feel for your personality. Are you arrogant? Are you hard to get along with? Are you impatient? Are you personable? Are you confident about your skills, or are you questionable about your skills? It'll come through on the phone. Are you humble, or do you have this attitude like, I'm so awesome? All right? Because they want to know if you're going to be a good fit. You're going to be in a remote area with a team of people. They want to know that you're going to be a good fit there. So think about that as you're talking to this individual. All right? Be personable. Be confident, but be personable. And no jokes. Don't make any kind of humor or anything like that. But be positive. Okay? There's a difference between the two. They're going to probably ask you, as far as IT goes, they're going to ask you about 5 different technical questions for your job. They just want to see that you know the job. When you get there, you will most likely train on the unique software that they have, but they want to know that you have the basic skills to do the job. And the more technical, the better you answer those 5 questions, even better. All right? And that's going to really help out with whatever type of job you're going for. They're going to ask you those basic questions. They've already got your resume. They know what your certifications are. They know what your experience is. But that just shows that, yeah, you know what you're talking about. Okay? Again, they're teching you out. All right. At the end of both of these interviews, what I want you to do is I want you to have a few questions ready. One thing that both interviews you're going to get asked is, do you have any questions for me? You never want to say, no, not really. Okay? You want to have questions for them. Ask them a little bit about, can you tell me a little bit about the schedule? What the schedule is? How many people do we have on our team? Something like that. you can ask things like the base that you're going to. You can say, can you give me an idea of what kind of facilities you have there on base? Now, you think about it, if it's a decent sized base, you're going to have things like a gym and stuff. But these questions also, you're kind of building a rapport with the other side. You're kind of asking these casual conversational questions, and you're having a little conversation with your future supervisor. He's going to answer, okay? He's going to say, like, well, we have a gym on base, and we have a coffee shop here, and we don't really have too much else, but there's maybe this or that, and people enjoy doing that. There might be a USO on base that has a game room for video games. So think along those lines. Think along those lines. Ask a few questions in both interviews. So when you get asked that, do you have a question for me? You can say yes. And ask 2-3 questions. That's it. Not a whole bunch, just a few. It shows that you're interested in the job. That is going to let you get through those 2 interviews. The only other thing that I want to add is going to be after you have your first interview. Okay? What I want you to do is the next day after you have that interview with the first headhunter, I want you to prepare an email, and it's going to say, thank you for the interview process. It was good talking to you. It was good to find out about this and that, and it's an interesting sounding position, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. It's important. I'm looking forward. I am interested in this job. I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Thank you, and your name. It's simple, but it shows you're interested. Okay? When you have the second interview with the supervisor, you may or may not have direct communication with that individual. If you did, okay, let's say at the end of the interview, that supervisor tells you, look, if you have any questions, I'm going to give you my email right now, and you just let me know. I'll answer them. Write it down. Write down their email and tell them thank you. That sounds good. And then do the same thing. One day after, send them an email, same thing. All right? Thanking them for their time. You appreciate the time to do the interview. You are interested. Always add that. You are interested in this job. Okay? And if they don't give you direct email, then don't worry about that for that second one. You'll have the first person's email, but you may not have the second. That's fine. Don't stress about that. But if they offer it to you, follow through with this process. That's what it's called. It's called the follow-up. Okay? You want to follow up with interviews with an email contact. If for some reason you don't get a contact email back from them within a week saying that you have the second interview waiting for you or that they're accepting you, you send another email. And that second email is going to be something along the lines of, I wanted to check in with you. I wanted to see how the process is going. If there's anything you need from me, let me know. Any additional information you need from me, let me know. I am interested in this job. Looking forward to hearing from you. Always add those. Okay? And that is going to be your interview process. You follow that, you are going to be ready to rock and roll on your 2 interviews for an overseas contract job. All right? And I hope that this has helped you. I hope that this is going to get you ready for that interview process. And I look forward to comments. Let me know if there's something that you would like me to cover in another video. And other than that, have a nice day.